He was sent to unite two worlds. She was born to protect a sacred tradition. But when their wedding night triggered an ancient ritual meant to merge their minds and souls, he realized something terrifying. It wasn't love she wanted. It was all of him. What happens when the bond that's meant to unite begins to consume? This isn't just a story of love across galaxies. It's a fight for identity, survival, and a new kind of union the stars have never seen. If you are new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Let's move toward wonderful story. The twin suns of Valerian hovered low in the lavender sky, casting golden light across the floating city of Ariath. Its crystal towers shimmered like frozen lightning, and gentle winds carried the scent of blossoms unknown to Earth. For Jonas Hale, a human envoy from the Terran Federation, the beauty of this world still felt like a dream. Standing on the sky bridge, dressed in ceremonial robes stitched with threads that caught and reflected starlight, he tried to steady his breath. Today wasn't just another diplomatic event. Today he would marry Listen, a Valari diplomat of noble blood, and with her the hopes of two civilizations. The first time Jonas met Listen had been during tense peace talks months ago. He'd expected formal conversation and political games. Instead, he found someone with quiet strength, an elegant presence, and an open mind. Her skin, a pale blue that seemed to shimmer when the light caught it, fascinated him. Her eyes, deep, silver, held centuries of wisdom and something else. Curiosity, maybe even affection. What started as cautious dialogue became genuine connection. Where others saw cultural barriers, Jonas and Listen saw bridges waiting to be built. Eventually, their friendship deepened into love or something like it, something unspoken but undeniable. Now, as the crowds of Valari and human guests gathered in the grand amphitheater of unity, Jonas tried not to let his nerves show. He understood the weight of this moment. This marriage was more than personal. It was symbolic, a gesture of peace. A union of two species who had once viewed each other with suspicion and fear. Lysaean appeared at the far end of the platform, walking with the grace of a falling feather. She wore a flowing garment woven from mist-like fabric that seemed alive, shifting softly with each step. Tiny glowing stones traced the edges of her robe, illuminating the path beneath her feet. The amphitheater fell silent as she approached. Jonas's heart pounded. Not just from awe, but from something deeper, an unease he couldn't name. They stood before the High Witness, a neutral elder from a third star system, who read the binding vows in both Valari and Terran tongues. Listen reached for Jonas's hands. Her touch was cool and smooth, sending a tingle up his spine. As the final words of the vow were spoken, the crowd erupted in soft, melodic applause. Their hands remained clasped, and for a moment, the world felt still. The celebration afterward was like nothing Jonas had experienced before. Floating platters offered exotic fruits and glowing delicacies. Music drifted through the air without any visible instruments, and the sky lit up with patterns that danced and pulsed in time with the crowd's joy. Valari moved gracefully in circular dances, inviting human guests to join. Laughter mingled with the sounds of otherworldly instruments. Even Jonas, overwhelmed as he was, found himself smiling more than once. But through it all, he couldn't shake a subtle tension. Lysen was kind, attentive, even affectionate, but distant too, as if she were preparing herself for something he couldn't see. Every time their eyes met, he sensed something hidden just beneath her calm expression. The night deepened and the celebration faded. A soft chime echoed through the hall. Listen leaned close and whispered, "It is time." Her voice was gentle, but carried a weight that made Jonas's stomach tighten. She led him away from the crowd, down a hallway, lit by flickering blue crystals embedded in the walls. The air grew cooler. They passed through tall archways carved with ancient Valari symbols. Eventually, they reached a large circular chamber with no ceiling. The stars overhead shimmered in silence. In the center of the room stood a low platform surrounded by shallow bowls filled with glowing water. The walls pulsed faintly, as if alive. "This is the Chamber of Melding," Lysen said softly. "A sacred place, known only to bonded Valari." Jonas glanced around. The room was beautiful, but the shadows made him uneasy. "I thought the ceremony was over," he said, trying to keep his voice light. "That was the public vow," she replied. "This is the true joining, the ancient bond." Before he could respond, Lysen stepped onto the platform and removed the outer layer of her garment. Beneath it, her skin was marked with faint white patterns that shifted slowly, glowing in time with her breath. She dipped her hands into one of the glowing bowls and then held them out to him. The light from the liquid clung to her skin like soft fire. Jonas hesitated. "What does this part involve?" She looked into his eyes. "We share essence, mind and spirit. It is how my people truly join. You will see as I see, feel as I feel." His mouth went dry. "Is it safe?" "For me, yes. For you." She paused, then smiled faintly. "It is new. But you are strong. I believe you can bear it." Jonas stared at her glowing hands. His instincts told him to turn back, to ask more questions, to stop. But her expression was open, waiting, trusting. So he stepped forward and reached out. The moment their hands touched, the light spread across his skin like liquid warmth. For a heartbeat, he felt nothing but calm. Then the warmth grew hotter. The chamber blurred, his knees buckled. In that instant, Jonas knew. Something had begun, something vast and irreversible. And whatever it was, it would not be as simple as love. Jonas struggled to stay upright as a wave of dizziness washed over him. The glow from the liquid still pulsed along his skin, creeping up his arms like vines of light. Lysen stood before him, her face calm but unreadable. He tried to speak, but his tongue felt thick, as if the air itself had turned heavy inside. His mouth. The walls of the chamber spun gently, their patterns moving in slow circles that made it hard to focus. He reached out instinctively and Lysen caught him, steadying him with firm hands. "You are reacting quickly," she said quietly. "I expected more time before the merge began." Jonas blinked. What's happening to me?" She helped him sit on the platform's edge. The air was cool against his skin, but his body was burning from within. "The essence is adjusting you," she said. "Your body, your mind. They are learning to accept the bond." He looked at her, trying to process her words. "You said this was tradition. But you didn't say it would change me." Lysen sat beside him, her glowing hands resting on her knees. "It is change, yes, but not a loss. We do not join as your people do with paper and words. The Valari way is older, deeper. We share the self, thought, memory, truth. Only then is trust complete." Jonas's head throbbed. Behind his eyes, colors flashed, images not his own. Faces, places, moments that felt like dreams, but carried strange emotions. He gasped as one memory rose clearly. A young Lysian walking through a field of golden grass under a sky filled with floating lights. He could feel her joy, her curiosity, the soft wind brushing her skin. But it wasn't his memory. And that scared him. "I saw something," he said, breathing heavily. "Your childhood. That wasn't from me." She turned to him slowly. "Yes, the melding has begun." He pulled away slightly. "This isn't what I agreed to. I didn't know you'd be inside my mind." Her expression softened, though her eyes held a flicker of disappointment. "I believed you were ready." "I did not hide this. You said you trusted me." "I do," he said, more quickly than he meant to. "But trust doesn't mean giving everything. This feels like I'm disappearing." She tilted her head. "You fear being consumed?" He nodded. Lysen reached out and touched his shoulder gently. "I understand. Among my people. This is not questioned, it is what we know. But I forget. Your people are young in the stars. You guard yourselves more closely." Jonas rubbed his temples. The warmth in his veins hadn't faded. It was changing him, even now. Every breath felt like a mixture of two lives colliding. His thoughts were no longer entirely his. There were whispers, tiny pieces of her voice, memories that slipped in when he least expected. Yet despite the strangeness, there was something else, a sense of connection, like knowing someone from the inside out without words. "I can feel your sadness," he said quietly, looking at her. "When you were younger, you lost someone." Leeson's breath caught. "My sister, long ago." During her melding, the bond broke. She was not strong enough. Jonas's heart sank. "You've lost someone to this?" She nodded, eyes glistening. "It is rare, but it happens. We don't speak of it often." Jonas sat in silence for a long moment. He was scared. He couldn't deny that. But he wasn't helpless. He had a choice. He had come to Valerian to build something new, not just with politics, but with heart. He looked down at his glowing hands. The light was fading slightly, settling into his skin like a memory that would never leave. "Then let me choose how we do this," he said finally. "Not through force, not through tradition I don't understand. I want to connect with you, listen, I do. But I need to hold on to who I am." She studied him carefully, her silver eyes unreadable. Then slowly, she nodded. "Then we will pause. The process can be slowed, but not undone. Once begun, the connection lives between us. It will not disappear." "I can live with that," he said, "as long as we walk through it together." She smiled and something changed in the air. Softer, calmer. The burning in his chest eased slightly. The colors behind his eyes dimmed. For now, the flood of memories stopped. The chamber's light shifted as the twin moons rose higher in the night sky. Jonas sat quietly, breathing deeply, grounding himself in his own body. He still felt different, changed, but he wasn't lost. Not yet. Lysaean stood and offered her hand. "Come. The bond sleeps, but it listens. Let it grow in time. Not all rituals must be rushed." He took her hand and rose slowly. The dizziness remained, but now it was bearable. He looked into her eyes and saw not mystery, but hope. As they left the chamber, the stars above Ariath shimmered brighter than before, and in their quiet light, a fragile new understanding began to bloom. The silence in the chamber didn't last. A few hours after they left the sacred platform, Jonas awoke in the guest quarters with a sharp pain behind his eyes and a strange pulse in his chest. The room around him was calm, soft lights, smooth walls, and the gentle hum of Valerian energy flows. But inside his head, something had begun to break apart. At first, he thought it was a dream. He saw flashes of light, voices speaking in a language he didn't know but somehow understood. He felt hunger and sorrow that weren't his own. Then he heard a laugh, Lyson's laugh, but from a memory he had never lived. He sat up suddenly, gasping for air. His hands were shaking. When he looked in the mirror on the far wall, he didn't see anything strange about his reflection. But inside, everything was different. There were thoughts that didn't belong to him, emotions he couldn't explain. His body felt like it was fighting itself. He clutched his chest, the pulse growing faster, deeper, like a second heartbeat that wasn't quite in sync with his own. Lysaean arrived within minutes, as if she already knew. She entered the room quietly, her robe trailing behind her like mist. "It has begun," she said softly. "What is happening to me?" Jonas asked, voice rough and shaking. "Why do I feel like I'm falling apart?" She stepped closer, her expression unreadable. "The bond is settling. Sometimes the human mind resists the depth of the merge. You are trying to keep everything separate, but the bond does not allow separation. It is one." He backed away. "You said we could take it slow, that we could control it." I said we could pause the surface. But the bond was made. It has its own path now. Jonas's thoughts blurred. He saw images again. Her family, the war her people fought centuries ago, the rituals of loss and memory. He felt grief that hit like a storm. He dropped to his knees. It's too much. I can't keep it all out. Listen knelt beside him. Do not fight it. Then I'll lose who I am. You'll become more. He turned toward her, his face pale. No, I'll be erased. Something inside him snapped. A surge of energy burst from his chest, throwing him back slightly. His skin glowed for a moment, then dimmed. The connection between them pulsed wildly. Listen looked startled. You are stronger than I thought. He stood slowly, breathing hard. I won't let this take me. I didn't come here to be consumed. A flicker of pain crossed her face. It is not consumption. It is unity. To you, he said. But to me it feels like I'm drowning. She looked away. This is the only way we have ever known love. Jonas stepped toward the door. Then maybe your people have never truly known it at all. He didn't wait for a response. He left the room, stumbling through the curved hallways of the palace. The stars above Valerian flickered strangely as he walked. He passed guards who watched him silently. He found a staircase leading to the temple floor and entered without hesitation. The sacred chamber was empty now, still glowing with low light, and the platform at the center remained as he had left it. The bowls of glowing water had darkened, his chest still burned. The second heartbeat was louder now. He looked around the room until his eyes found what he hadn't noticed before. A blade mounted on the far wall. It was ceremonial, thin, and curved, with a handle made of some iridescent stone. He took it down with shaking hands. If this bond feeds on balance, he whispered, then maybe I can break the pattern. He held the blade to his palm and drew a line across the skin. The pain was sharp, but real, his own. The blood dripped onto the floor and sizzled as it touched the stone. A tremor ran through the room. The lights in the walls flared. The bowls hissed. Then a scream, not his own but Lissen's, echoed in his mind. She appeared a moment later, rushing into the chamber. What have you done? I broke the pattern, he said, his voice calm. Your ritual is perfect symmetry. I disrupted it. She looked at him with wide eyes, her expression filled with something between fear and awe. You shouldn't be able to do this. No one has resisted this far. I told you, he said, breathing through the pain. I didn't come here to disappear. Their bond shuddered. He felt it inside like a storm retreating, a wave crashing and rolling back. The pressure behind his eyes faded. He could think clearly again. But Lysian looked pale, shaken. The glowing lines on her arms dimmed. I can still feel you, he said. But not like before, it's quieter now. She nodded slowly. You've forced the bond to shift. It is not gone, but it is no longer in control. Jonas stepped forward, blade still in hand, though lowered. If we are to be together, it has to be by choice, not tradition, not pressure, not a ritual that eats one of us alive. Listen looked at him with something like reverence. I did not know this was possible. It wasn't, he said, until now. She walked to him and gently took the blade from his hand. Then let us discover what else is possible. Together they stepped away from the platform. The chamber faded behind them, and though the bond between them still lingered, it now pulsed with something new, something built not on domination, but on balance. The city of Ariath floated in peaceful silence as dawn broke over Valerian. Light spilled across its glass-like towers and hovered gently on the skywalks, painting everything in soft gold. Jonas stood beside Lysian on a narrow balcony overlooking the clouds below. Neither of them spoke at first. The events of the night still lingered in the air around them. The pain, the fear, the breaking of the bond, and the strange quiet that followed. The breeze was cool, but comforting. For the first time since arriving on this world, Jonas felt stillness not forced by ceremony but earned through struggle. His hand brushed against hers and she didn't pull away. The glow that once flickered between them had faded to a softer light, no longer pulsing with overwhelming force. He could still feel her presence in the back of his mind, like a whisper from another room, gentle and distant. It no longer pressed on him. It no longer tried to take him. It simply existed, waiting if he chose to reach for it. Lysen turned to him. Her silver eyes held something new. Not power, not pride, understanding. "I dreamed last night," she said softly. "But the dream was not only mine. I saw you as a child, running through tall grass, laughing. Was that real?" He nodded. "My uncle's farm, it was the first place I ever felt safe." She smiled. "It was beautiful. I could feel your joy, and your fear. It didn't overwhelm me. It felt like a gift." Jonas looked out over the skyline. That's what memory should be. A gift, not a weapon, not something forced, just shared when the time is right. They stood in silence for a while longer. A group of Valari elders approached from the palace steps behind them, their long robes trailing like silver ribbons. They had heard the news. What happened in the chamber could not be hidden. A human had broken the sacred bond. Yet somehow, the world had not collapsed. The city still floated, the stars still shone, and Lysen still stood beside him. One of the elders, a figure named Soren, stepped forward. His expression was not angry, but thoughtful. "You did not reject the bond, Jonas Hale," he said. "You reshaped it. We believed that was impossible." "I didn't come here to challenge your ways," Jonas replied. "But I couldn't give up everything I am. That's not connection. That's surrender." Soren nodded slowly. "And yet, you stand. And so does Lysen. Perhaps this teaches us something we have forgotten." The other elders murmured among themselves. Some nodded. Some looked uncertain. Lysen stepped forward to speak. "The melding was sacred to us. But maybe it became a cage we didn't see. What Jonas and I have now, it is different, but it is real." Jonas met her eyes and felt something stir inside. Not the rush of forced emotion, but the quiet strength of mutual choice. We didn't erase each other. We made space. The elders withdrew soon after, leaving the two alone once more. The silence felt lighter now, like the beginning of something rather than the end. Jonas turned to listen. "What happens now?" she considered the question. "Our people may resist this change. Many believe the bond must remain as it was. But change has come, whether they want it or not." He smiled. "That's usually how change works." They spent the rest of the day walking through the city, not as symbols or leaders, but simply as two people learning each other's rhythms again. They talked about childhood dreams, about old regrets, about the little things that made them laugh. It felt new, real. The connection between them no longer burned. It warmed. By nightfall, Lysen took Jonas to a quiet garden that floated near the edge of the city. There were no walls, no crowds, no ceremony, just stars above and flowers that hummed softly in the evening light. She reached out her hand and he took it. "We once believed love meant becoming one," she said. "Now I wonder if it means standing beside another, fully yourself, and still choosing them." Jonas nodded. "Love isn't about losing who you are. It's about being seen and still being welcomed." They stood beneath the stars for a long time. Two hearts still separate, still whole, yet gently connected by choice and trust. News of what they had done spread through Valerian and eventually across star systems. Many were confused. Some were afraid. But others were inspired. Slowly, a new kind of bond began to take shape. One not based on surrender, but on shared growth. The Valari began to rethink their traditions. Humans, in turn, started to learn the depth of connection beyond words and contracts. And at the center of it all stood Jonas and Listen, not fused into one but walking side by side. In time, their story was not told as a tale of resistance, but as the first chapter of a new age. An age where love could stretch across stars, without erasing what made each soul unique. An age where understanding wasn't about power but patience. And somewhere, far above the clouds, the stars shimmered just a little brighter.